Good evening and welcome to the show. Welcome to the Impact Show. Hope you guys are doing well this evening. I'm your host, Samuel Ikinwin, and it's a great pleasure to be here tonight, guys. I do apologize. I think we had a technical hiccup just a moment ago with regards to the sound. So let me know in the comments if you guys can hear me. Let me know that the audio is sounding good and the mic is absolutely working fine. And we will be looking forward to moving forward into tonight's jam-packed show. And as I mentioned, tonight's show is going to be jam-packed. We've got so much to cover, so much to talk about, so much to share. You know, in terms of property, things have kind of been a little bit quiet in the property climate over the last couple of weeks, predominantly this last week. This last week has been fairly quiet, interestingly enough, as it pertains to property. But there is an article that I was able to grab, which I thought when I read it, you know what, it's so interesting how people picture and speak about property in terms of the property climate. So I'm going to be sharing that with you guys. That was an article that I saw from the Express a couple of days ago. Just a couple of days ago, this article was released. So I'm going to be speaking to you guys a little bit about that in tonight's show. But side by side with that, let me know if you're tuning in for the first time. Just write the word first in the chat. If you're someone who's been on one of our live shows before, just write "been here before." Let us know if you are someone who's new to the show or if you're someone who's been here before. I would love to find out if you're new so I can welcome you. And if you're someone who's been to the show before, let me equally say to you, it's great to see you. All right, thank you. The audio is crisp. Thank you ever so much, Cosmios, for letting us know that. We appreciate you and also all of the other people that are inside of the comments and inside the chat. So guys, like I said, if you've just tuned in, what I'd love for you to do is let me know if it's your first time on the Impact Show. Just write the word first in the comments. And if it's not your first time and you've been here before, just let us know. Write "been here before," okay, so that I can know if you've been here before. So excellent. Cosmios says she's been here before. Great to see you here on the live show, Cosmios, and everybody else who's going to be tuning in for tonight's show. Now, I want to start off tonight's show with a massive bit of gratitude, okay, a massive piece of gratitude. And the reason why is because we've just gone over the 200 mark as it pertains to YouTube subscribers. So I want to say very a massive big thank you to every single one of you guys who have participated in helping us hit that goal. Now the funniest thing is we're already not too far off from hitting the 250 mark, and obviously that means we're equally quite close to hitting the 300 mark. So guys, if you haven't hit subscribe already, if you're not a subscriber to the Impact Properties channel, feel free to hit the subscribe button and become a part of our community, become a part of what we're doing here. We are answering people's questions every single week as it pertains to property. We are strategizing with those who call in and who have challenges in terms of their property journey to help them move forward as well. Now, I don't have this on the screen because I wasn't able to get this in time, but I do want to read to you guys something that was sent to me this very week as it pertains to a kind of like a testimonial. And this was a byproduct of our show last week. So it was just, 7 days ago, we had a show. And on that show, one of the callers was Yogesh. So Yogesh, again, a great big thank you to you for calling in last week. And when Yogesh called in, he called in specifically asking the question about how to raise funds with private investors. And, he's obviously on his property journey and he wanted to know how he could raise more funds on his particular property investing journey. So he said that he was going to be invited onto a show, a TV show, and basically he wanted to get some advice and we gave him some advice. And Yogesh messaged me in the week and he basically said via Facebook Messenger, "Hi, thanks for the tips for the TV show. He can't say the outcome because it's TV, but your advice really helped me a lot and I did a confident pitch." So again, Yogesh, well done to you for jumping on the show last week. Well done for you for taking the advice and also asking the question. There are hundreds of thousands of people out there who at times don't ask the question. So I want to encourage you guys, if you are out there and you've got particular scenarios and situations that you're going through in your property journey, like be bold enough, be confident enough to just ask the question, whatever it is, so we can help you strategize through the specific question and share with you what is basically, our approach, what we would be doing if we was in that predicament in order to strategize through the particular storm you may be in. So again, guys, let me know where you're tuning in from in terms of the world. Where are you? Are you in the UK? Are you outside of the UK? On this show, we specifically focus on UK based property, even though week in, week out, we've had people call in asking about American property investment and things as it pertains to that in terms of the language as well. So we're happy to help always. I'm going to start off by sharing with you guys our disclaimer, and that basically states that all information provided and results given are exemplary, and as a result, each person's results may vary or differ. Results are generally based on consistent strategies, and we advise that you always seek legal and financial advice from a qualified professional before going ahead and making certain things happen. So look, I was just speaking about Yogesh. Yogesh has jumped into the comments. Hi Yogesh, great to see you here. And Yogesh is tuning in from Croydon in the UK, in just outskirts of London. So Yogesh, again, great to see you here. Guys, those of you who haven't commented yet, let me know where you are actually tuning in from. Let me know which part of the world you're tuning in from, and we will get kick-started straight away by jumping into the phone line. So again, like most shows tonight, we are going to have the phone lines open. The moment the phone lines open, you are free to call in and ask any questions you have as it pertains to property. We will help you by strategizing through the particular property question you have, or the particular property scenario and situation you have, by basically sharing with you what we would be doing, or also by helping you try to think outside of the box by giving you some different vantage points in terms of how you consider the particular situation you're going through. Now, most people who know me from the property networking event that I used to host with over 100 people that would attend that event every single month. And time in and time again, what we would find in that platform through means of hosting that networking event is we'd have hundreds of people reaching out to us on a month-to-month basis, asking us questions about property, sometimes early stage questions, sometimes more advanced stage questions. And this particular show, for those of you who don't know, it came about as a result of people asking questions. So when the pandemic first arrived, when the lockdown first hit, what basically happened is I had a bunch of coaching clients reaching out to me saying, Samuel, how do I do this? How do I do that? Or how do I protect myself throughout this climate? And as a result of all of these coaching clients reaching out, I thought it would make a lot of sense if we basically created an online platform similar to what we're doing here through means of the Impact Show, where basically we can answer your questions. I couldn't answer 100 people's questions one after each other because it's not feasible. It's not also the best use of my time. But by jumping on YouTube and by doing this show through means of the video format that we're doing, it allows every single person in the world, every single person in the community, whether you're a coaching client, whether you're not, to be able to ask specific questions about your property journey and help you move forward in your property journey, which is my passion, which is what I'm all about and what I want to keep doing for the community. So without further ado, the phone lines are now open. If you are interested in calling in, feel free to call in, and you might be on hold for a little while whilst we basically get your call routed through. But basically, the phone lines are open for you guys to call in. So if you haven't commented already, write a comment, say hi, say hello, say something in the comment. The comments are for you guys. The comments are for the community. The comments aren't just for us. So yes, you might have questions for us, but the comments are for the community. It's for people like Yogesh, people like In Thy Word, people like Ecosmios, to be able to meet other people who are engaging with this content and understand that this content is of value and how it can be of value for you. Now, side by side with all of that, another thing I want to encourage you to do, okay? If you're watching this show for the first time, I want to encourage you, if you get any value throughout the show, to hit the like button. Now, if you're someone who's been here before, then you will have no reason to not hit the like button already, because of the simple fact that you will already know that there is value to be had on the show. So I want to encourage you, if you're watching this show for the first time, to go and hit that button so everybody can know this is content that is liked, should be liked, and that YouTube should be pushing out there for the wider community. So guys, you know what, take full advantage, jump on it, and let the YouTube world know that you are getting value from this content. All right, now phone lines are open. I think the first caller has already called in. Absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to that. What we're also going to be doing on tonight's show is we're going to be talking about a specific news article that recently came out speaking about property specifically for first-time buyers. So let me jump onto the phone line and let's see who we have on the line to get started with. Okay. Good evening. Caller number one. Yes, good evening. Is that Yogesh? Hi, good evening, Yogesh. Your reception isn't as clear as usual, but I can make out what you're saying roughly. Excellent. That sounds a much better, much better, much better. So, Yogesh, just quickly, as I usually ask, are you happy for me to share with the YouTube world what you're going to basically be sharing with us? And side by side with that, are you happy for the YouTube world to also hear what my potential recommendations or what my thought process would be around whatever you're going to ask us? Excellent. Absolutely excellent. All right. So, guys, you should be able to hear Yogesh as of now because he has accepted for you guys to hear what he has to say. Like I said, guys, if you get any value, feel free to hit the like button. Feel free to hit subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. We are growing this community and we want to help people move forward in their property journey. And side by side with that, if you're hitting subscribe, why not hit the bell notification button so you can be informed around 30 minutes before we go live every single time we go live. Now, Yogesh, over to you. How can we help you?
Thank you, Samuel. Again, thanks for your help last time.
Most welcome.
I messaged you with a success it was, so I really appreciate it. It's a bit of a follow-on to that.
Excellent.
So I really want to raise my profile a lot. I want to be brokering deals, so getting deals maybe sent to me or finding deals and then finding money and then marrying them up. That would be fun for me. That's what I want to do. Some steps I've done already is obviously I applied for that TV program I talked about.
Yeah.
I've been approved as a speaker in London PIN meetings.
Yeah.
I've got a talk about time management actually for property investors.
That's powerful.
Particularly those working full time like me. And I actually gave a talk to the Manchester group today, and it was good.
Powerful.
So I'm going to do some more. So I'm just getting booked into hopefully Croydon Sun and maybe Clapham, or maybe some other London ones, thinking about it. I'd also like to do some mentoring actually. It's a bit more too much, but that's my goal at the moment. What's my question? My question is, how do I get people to trust me, to raise my profile, for them to make them feel like they can message me and trust me and lend me money, I guess, and if they've got a deal, trust that I'm going to action it and make everyone money.
Excellent.
I think that's my question.
Excellent. So, guys, I believe I can hear admins already put in there. Yes, can hear Yogesh loud and clear. So, let me just jump into this. Yogesh has asked what I think is actually quite an amazing question. That question is, what can he do in order to get people to trust him? Okay, what can he do in order to get people to trust him for the purposes of him to present deals to them so he can start brokering deals, B, for him to be able to get resources and finance coming his way, i.e. people placing money with him for him to then go on and invest that money on their behalf or with them. And then thirdly, he also said in regards to him being able to maybe mentor people, okay, as well. And the funniest thing about that is a gentleman and a lady that I know, two contacts of mine in the property space, actually wrote a book around exactly what we're talking about, which I think is absolutely, timely and apt in regards to what Yogesh is actually asking about. Now, unfortunately, I don't have the link to the book. I can try and see if I can get a link and put it in the description of this video straight after we come off. But basically, the title of the book is Trust is the New Currency. Okay, Trust is the New Currency. And that book was written by Frederick Sanval, who is a gentleman who I've invited a number of times to come and speak at the Canary Wharf PIN meeting when I was the host of the Canary Wharf PIN. And it was also written by Sheila Holt, which is another person, a lady who's basically in the property space as well. And it's funny, I always remember because they released that book on the 24th of June, which is actually my birthday in 2019, which was last year. So this is a fairly newly released book, and it's Trust is the New Currency. And the first thing I do is I'd encourage you to go and get that book. And just have a read through it and pick up kind of some of the keys that Frederick and Sheila have put in that book in order to start to understand how you can leverage resources through means of focusing on trust, which is the question you've asked. Now, obviously, as we do, I'll strategize with you and give you my take on it in terms of what you need to do in order to trust, in order to build trust and credibility with people. And I'm happy to do that. But the first thing I'd say is go get that book. That book will be a great resource. And for those of you who are watching this after the live show, just look inside of the description and I'll have a link below to the book Trust is the New Currency, which was written by Frederick Sanval and Sheila Holt. Now, the reason I'm talking about the book, it's not a plug. It's not just a plug. Yes, it is a plug for Frederick's book. But side by side with that, it's actually the fact that I know Frederick. Frederick's done property. He's been doing property for a number of years with his brother as well. And basically, these guys are avid property investors. They do invest in property and they understand how trust is crucial to the ability to them to actually scale up their business, and not only scale up their business, but continue doing their business on a day-to-day basis. So Trust is the New Currency is the first resource I'll probably share with you guys to basically go ahead and go and grab. Now, side by side with that, in terms of my own views, how do you build trust in order to allow people to basically bring revenue your way, allow them to basically invest it with you, allow them in some cases to basically find you as a worthwhile or reasonable mentor, and then side by side with that to be able to broker deals. Now, I will start with my answer to this being it's all around the value you bring. Now, I know in several different episodes of the live streams, we've spoken about different things you can do in terms of values and stuff like that. So I'm going to segue away from values today and just really speak about the value you bring. So when I talk about the value you bring, I'm talking about what does the world say about you? And when I say the world, it's really funny. We live in a day and age where the world speaks through the medium of Google. Okay, and that's it's really weird, but it's the reality. Okay, so 99% of people, when they hear about you, when they hear about your business, when they hear about your offering, they're going to Google you. So I guess, Yogesh, to start with, the first question I would say to you is, have you Googled yourself? And from Googling yourself, what do you find? First and foremost, are you actually findable on Google? When people Google you, like I have a very distinctive name. So when people Google me, they find me fairly quickly. When people Google you, do they find you? That's first and foremost. Secondarily, when they find you on Google, what do they find specifically? Okay, because if people are thinking of investing with you and they're doing their due diligence, they're checking you out online and they do a Google search of who Yogesh Patel is, they might find information that you might not be happy for them to find. Now, when I say that, I don't necessarily mean negative information, but I just mean information in general. So I'll give you an example. Those of you who've been watching this show again and again, you will know that I've shared before and Yogesh has shared before that he's actually in the medical field. So the thing is, if somebody Googles you, Yogesh, and they find that, okay, you have a 10-year, 20-year, 30-year track record in the medical field, but they can't find the same kind of expansive information about your property dealings, that might be for some people a turnoff. Now, for other people, that might be actually a turn on. They might say to themselves, well, hold on a minute. If Yogesh is stuck at something for 20 years, 30 years, then I'm sure that he's not just doing property as a fly-by-night endeavor. So the first question is, are you findable? The second thing is, what do people actually find when they check you out? What does the world say about you, which is the terminology I'm using to define what I'm talking about. Now, the third thing is, what are you actually saying about you? And when I say that, what I mean is like, what are you putting out there in the world? Again, you can talk about the medium of Google if that's what you want to use as a metric. I want to shy away from Google because Google's not necessarily what I'm talking about. But I can bring up some portals to give you an example, but social media portals such as LinkedIn. Now, one of the things people don't realize is LinkedIn has invested hundreds of millions of dollars in order to be up there when it comes to Google ranking. So what that basically means is you might not have the money as a business owner to really promote your business on the first page of Google. But what you can do is you can really promote your LinkedIn profile and your company LinkedIn profile through means of doing that a real great job of that on LinkedIn, which then would translate into actually being quite highly ranked on Google because of all the money that LinkedIn put into doing that. And now some of you who follow business and you follow, trends, you will know that Microsoft, I was going to call them Windows, but the Bill Gates firm Microsoft actually bought LinkedIn. I believe that was in the beginning of 2019 or end of 2018. So as a direct result, that's another connection there where you know that there's a big business backing behind LinkedIn to fund LinkedIn success. And part of LinkedIn success is making sure that when people look for somebody, when they search Yogesh Patel, when they search Samuel Kimwin, when they search any other person, that basically LinkedIn's on the first page. So by optimizing your LinkedIn page, you instinctively, automatically are optimizing what people find out about you on Google. Now, why is that beneficial? It's beneficial because that's a way that people build trust. You know, I've heard it said so many times that people only do business with those they know, they like, and they trust. So if you break that metric down, knowing, liking, and trusting, it formats to the same three things we just spoke about. Knowing is all about, what can I find out about you? What knowledge can I find out about you which you haven't told me yourself, i.e. the Google process. Liking you, what are you actually saying about yourself in the world? What have you put out there? What content have you put out there? Now, I'm a person who likes video. I like the format of video because I feel like through video, you get to know my temperament, you get to know my mannerisms, you get to know my facial expressions, you get to know, because I'm a very serious person, and people sometimes who meet very, very serious people for the first time find it difficult to kind of break the ice, or not only break the ice with serious people, but also get to understand when what their humor is. Like I wasn't very good at humor growing up. I'm just going to be very transparent about that. So as a direct result, by me being out here on video on a week-to-week basis, on a regular basis, even before I was doing this live show on a week-to-week basis, I used to do Facebook live videos nearly every single day. And again, I think Yogesh, you're a friend on Facebook, so you probably would have seen a lot of that stuff even from as far back as 2016, 2017 when I started doing that. Now, one of the things I've learned is because I've been so prolific on sharing through the mediums of social media, people have started to realize, yeah, Samuel's a really serious guy, but he's a down-to-earth serious guy. He's not the kind of guy who you can't approach, or you can't engage, or you can't ask questions of. He's actually a very open and willing to share it gentleman. So because I've put myself out there in that format, people not only realize, oh, I know Samuel, but they can very quickly get to a place where they can say, actually, I like Samuel, or, and I'm going to say this because this is a reality as well, or I don't like Samuel, and that's okay as well. Okay, it's okay to not like me too, because I want to also do business with people that I know, I like, and I trust. So it's a mutual thing. And it's like when you go to a job interview, people generally say, you know what, don't make the job interview just them interviewing you. You've got to make sure it's a good fit for you as well. So it also has to be you interviewing them. So Yogesh, those will be the kind of central tenets I'd break it down to. First and foremost, get to a place where you understand what people are finding when they're searching for you. Secondarily, be able to shift to a place where you know what you are actually putting out about yourself, and be quite purposeful about that. Like, share with people your expertise. If there's things you've done in property, share with people what you've done in property. Share with people how you've done that in property. Share your journey. You know, I've got coaching clients. Some of my coaching clients are similar to how I used to be. They are adamant that they are not going to be on video. They're not going to be on audio. They're not going to tell anybody about their property journey, because that's a real private thing for them. And that's cool. I get that. But I then say to them, well, look at other avenues to share. You might start a blog. You might start, anything. You might even just go on Pinterest and be like, well, every time I buy a new property or I get a new deal, what I'm going to do is I'm basically just going to, put a picture of the front door on Pinterest. And that's cool as well. Okay. So it's not about doing what everyone else is doing. Sometimes it's actually just about doing what you think is a good medium for you to share to the world how you are basically investing and how you are moving forward. So in terms of answering Yogesh's question, if I broke it down to the nuts and bolts, how do you get people to trust you more so that you can basically invest their funds, so that you can basically start to work with them on a coaching capacity and all these other things? I would break it to those central tenets. Find out what people are already finding out about you. What does the world say about you? And another way you can do this is a bit of added value, but for those of you who are taking notes, this is something that I learned through personal development, and I actually, if I'm going to be really transparent, I learned this from the Bible way before personal development. So in the Bible, there's this little chapter where Jesus says to the disciples, they're the people that were following him. He says, who do you guys say that I am? Okay. And basically the reason I share that with you guys is because what Jesus was doing is basically a self-assessment. He was doing an audit. And I want to share this with you guys because, Googling yourself is not the only way for you to do an audit of what people think of you. You can go and reach out to people that are closest to you, people that don't know you very well, and just ask them the question, guys, if you wanted to write down 5 of my, most valuable qualities, what would my most valuable qualities be? And again, those of you who are watching this, get involved, write in the chat. If you're watching this live, feel free to write in the chat. What do you think are some of Samuel's, most valuable qualities? If you're watching this on a replay, write in the comments, guys, let me know. What do you think are some of my most valuable, assets? What do you think I bring to the table as an individual, as a property investor, as a person, whether it's through means of just engaging me online or through means of knowing me personally? Let me know. What are some of my 5 most valuable qualities? But then side by side with that, don't just get fixated on the value, also get fixated on the areas of improvement. So what I mean by that is also ask those people, what are 5 key areas where you think I could improve as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a property investor, etc., etc., etc. So I would say, Yogesh, start there. Start with asking the question, what does the world say about you? What do other people say about you? Do a personal inventory and a personal audit of your skills, of your assets. Okay. Some people do a SWOT analysis where they focus on their strengths, their weaknesses, the opportunities, and also the challenges as well. You might want to do that. You might want to do a SWOT analysis of yourself. You might ask other people around you, both friends and family, both those people who are involved in property and those people who are not involved in property, and ask them, guys, what are my most valuable qualities? What are my weaknesses, etc. Okay, so the first thing is, what does the world say about you? The second thing I'd say that you should really tap into, Yogesh, is start asking the question, what are you actually putting out there? Are you showing people that your strengths are your strengths? Are you sharing with people that your weaknesses are your weaknesses? And for some people, they are out there on a day-to-day basis sharing their weaknesses. Some people do that, okay? Some people every single day are working on the weakest part of their life in public, okay? And you can choose to do that, okay? Some people are doing it on purpose. Some people are doing that by accident. I choose not to do that. The reason I choose not to do that is not because, I've thought about it intrinsically. No, it's because a mentor said to me years ago that you should focus on the areas of your strength and improve them so much so that nobody else can catch you in your strength zone. Okay. I'll say that again for those of you who are writing notes. Focus on the areas of your strength and focus on them so much so that anybody else who enters your zone of strength will be unable to catch you. Okay, if somebody's getting value from this content, hit the like button and let the YouTube world know that this is valuable content. So Yogesh, that's kind of my mindset towards it. Start from a place, a location of saying, what does the world say about me? Also ask yourself the question, what are you actually putting out there for people to engage with and for people to get an understanding of who you are? And then third and foremost, how can you transition? That's the next question. How do you transition if you're not currently given the kind of value which is representative of who you are? If you're not currently given the kind of value which is representative of what you can offer, what you have to offer, and obviously the values that you like to share. So hopefully, Yogesh, that's been of value to you, and hopefully that's been helpful. What's your thoughts on that, Yogesh?
Yeah, fantastic. I've already ordered that book, so I'll read that.
Excellent. I like the way you've done that quickly.
Yeah, and when I googled myself just now, LinkedIn came up.
I love the way you've done that straight away. So you googled yourself straight away. Yeah. LinkedIn came up on the first page, right?
Yeah.
Powerful. So exactly what I'm talking about, you're seeing the fruit of that product straight away. And that's really important. It's really important for people to understand that's how it works. Okay, that's exactly how it works. Why invest in paying hundreds of thousands of pounds to promote yourself on Google when you can basically take advantage of the people that are already promoting you on Google by tapping into their platform? So I think that's a real smart move. Excellent. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's really helped us just getting me going. There's quite a lot to get on with, but that will really, really help. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Most welcome, Yogesh. Look, this is what we're here for. So at the end of the day, if it is a lot to get on with, focus, one step at a time. That's the question. How do you eat an elephant? They always say one bite at a time. So Yogesh, thank you for calling in. We really appreciate you and appreciate all of the calls that you make. Continue doing what you're doing. Continue making strides in your property journey. And we look forward to even more success as you keep going forward. All right, guys. So that was most Yogesh. Sorry, Yogesh. I think I put you on mute just before you spoke. Say that again.
Oh, just thank you very much indeed.
Most welcome, Yogesh. No problem. All right, no problem. All right, guys, so that was Yogesh. Thank you for calling in, Yogesh. Really appreciate your call, as always. Those of you who are in the chat, let us know in the chat if you're getting value. I've seen one definitely value already. If you guys are getting value, feel free to write in the comments getting value. And also, side by side with that, feel free to hit the like button so YouTube knows this is valuable content. Side by side with that, why not also hit the subscribe button and become a part of our community so YouTube can let you know what we're doing when we're doing it, and hit the bell notification button so you can also get notified every single time we go live. Okay, excellent. All right, so much value through means of Yogesh's question. Yogesh, thank you for calling in. We really do appreciate that, and I think that's going to help a whole bunch of people as they move forward in their property journey. Now, one of the things I want to do, guys, is I want to encourage you. Okay, we've got the Sourcing Blueprint, which is a free ebook. This ebook will help you if you want to move forward in your property sourcing journey. Now, in my opinion, and I share this all the time, every single person who's invested in property should be focused on their sourcing strategy. And the reason they should be focused on their sourcing strategy is because that's how you acquire properties. If you cannot acquire properties, you can't move forward in your property journey. So I want to encourage you to go and get this book right here. You can go to the link www.sourcingblueprint.com and utilize that link in order for you to go and get your free Sourcing Blueprint ebook. That ebook is absolutely free for you to use and move forward in your property investing journey. Now, without further ado, let me share with you guys, thank you for the great value comments coming through. Let me share with you guys the article that I wanted to share with you. This article was released 2 days ago, okay, by The Express. I hope you can see the article on the screen. If you can see the article, give me a thumbs up in the chat. And basically, this article was a very interesting one when I actually came across it. Reason being is because it's doing something which I've spoken about again and again and again. But I want you guys to be aware of this as property investors. I want you guys to be cautious and mindful of the kind of stuff that the tabloids, you know, the world put out there. Now, this was written and released 9:13 a.m. on Thursday, August the 6th, 2020, a couple of days ago, and recently updated at 11:27 on Friday, which was yesterday the 7th. And the headline, and I'm just going to basically read the headline. I don't want to go into this article because, you know, one of the things I don't like, I don't read a lot of newspapers, okay? I don't read a lot of newspapers because of exactly what I'm going to share with you guys today. As property investors, I want you to be very cognizant of the fact that every medium has its agenda. And the question is, if the agenda is contrary to your agenda, then you don't really want to engage with that medium. And I hope that makes sense to you. But let me go through and read the headline, read kind of like the subtitle, and then I'll break down exactly what I wanted to share with you guys. It says, property. This is The Express. House prices to drop by 30% for key workers and first-time buyers. House prices, okay? Now, it goes on to say house prices could be cut by up to 30% for first-time buyers in England. The government is expected to release more details on the plan today. This is how it will work. And they go on to talk about their intentions, how they think it will work, etc., etc., etc. Now, look, guys, I want you to understand this, all right? There's one main problem with news like that. News like that seeks to deter investors from actually investing. Because the investor thinks, well, hold on a minute, if there's going to be subsidies for other groups of people and no subsidies for us, isn't that going to advantage those people over us? Now, look, let me share this with you, okay? I'm going to share this with you just to be very, very clear, okay? I say this nearly all the time. I stand by this. It's important, which is why I'm so adamant on always sharing this, okay? Property is a market. As an industry, it's a market, okay? Property is a market. Guys, those of you who've watched me on the live show for enough times, put in the chat, put in the comments, if you're not watching this live, what I'm about to say. What are the two factors that make a market move? Let me know. Let me know if you guys have been good students as you've been watching week in, week out on the live show. Okay. Now, look, guys, this is what you have to understand. When these kind of articles come out, they seek to do one thing. Okay, they seek to do one thing. They seek to deter you from your main focus. Now, Yogesh is putting their interest rates. It's not exactly interest rates. There are two things, two separate things that make every market move. And those two things also apply in the property industry. And those two things are the things I'm talking about. Bang, Yogesh has got it. Supply and demand. I talk about this nearly every week because property is a business. And if you treat it like a business, you'll be able to get the advantages of the business of property. And one of the key core advantages of the business of property comes from understanding the metrics of supply and demand. Now, if we understand supply and demand, what will we understand? There is a greater demand created by property investors than there is by key workers to buy properties. So as a direct result, bang, Oliver's got it. Supply and demand, demand and supply. Well done, Oliver. Guys, if you understand this, you will understand that the market of property moves based on supply and demand. If it moves based on supply and demand, the people that drive the market, that set the price, they might not realize they set the price, are the people who bring the demand. Okay, now if there's oversupply, what happens, guys? Prices fall. If there is increased demand in relation to supply, what happens? Prices increase. If 10 people want to buy the same thing, one interesting individual out of the 10 is going to say, I'll pay a little bit more. If the other 9 people hear that one person will pay a little bit more, then one other person might say, I'll pay a little bit more. For those of you who are watching this, whether live or on the replay, who have gone and sat in an auction. I have sat in so many auctions. If you sat in an auction room, you understand that an auction sets price based on the exact metric I'm talking about, supply and demand. Who's in the auction room? Who's interested in bidding? That is the demand. The supply is the auction catalog. This is what we've got on offer for you guys today. And it's the demand in the room that sets the price. If 10 people are bidding, then guys, that price is going to go up. And the whole property market works in the exact same fashion. Now, why is this important? This is important because if key workers start getting 30% discounts, okay, on purchase prices, my question is, where does that discount come from? Because the government cannot control supply or demand. Okay, the only way the government can control supply is if they say nobody can sell properties unless certain criteria, and it's very unlikely in a stagnated market since that we've had since the 23rd of March 2020 that the government are gonna pull a stunt like that. So then the next thing is, if they can't control supply, maybe they might try to control demand. And one of the ways they can control demand is by offering massive incentives for certain groups of people. Now, one of the people who they might control demand for could be key workers. They could say to key workers, well, we're going to give you assistance. Okay, because what you've got to bear in mind is the government can't change the price of property. How can property prices drop by 30% for key workers? It's actually an impossibility. But again, you have mainstream media, you have headlines such as property, house prices to drop by 30% for key workers and first time buyers. Listen, I want you guys to understand what I'm talking about here. There are articles out there in the world which are going to give you the illusion that things can be changed just like that. And the reality is, real markets can never change just like that because they operate based off supply and demand. And supply is not one person's bank balance. Demand is not one person's bank balance. It's not just because one person is in some financial disarray, they're quickly going to sell their property and that's the whole supply of the property market. No. And equally, it's not the other way with demand. It's not one person has all the money, so they want to buy property. So as a result, they click their fingers and they're all the demand. No, it doesn't work like that. So I want you guys to be cognizant of this. Supply and demand makes the market move. The moment we understand that supply and demand makes the market move, we then end up in a great position to be able to start looking at things and saying to ourselves, where do we want to get in? How do we want to get in? How can we do something of benefit? How can we change the game? How can we add value? How can we make things make sense for us specifically, etc., etc., etc. So guys, look, the phone lines are still open. If you still got a call and you want to call in, you've got a question to ask, feel free to jump in with the number on the screen. Feel free to call in. Feel free to use the access code and get your question answered. We are obviously obviously running short on time, so we'll probably take one more caller today, but feel free to call in if you have a specific question. I'm about to jump into the chat. I'm going to jump into the comments, read what a few people are saying, and then from there, I've got a few other things to touch base with you guys on before I head off for tonight's show. So we got here Yogesh saying yes, supply and demand. We got Olive Chem saying the same thing, demand and supply, excellent. You asked what I think of Samuel, from Talks and Facebook. Okay, so powerful. So Yogesh is sharing here what he feels are some of the values / qualities of myself. So he's written here: knowledge, clever, improves himself, growing, knows how to teach himself and others, motivating, friendly, clear, and goal focused. Yogesh, thank you ever so much. Appreciate that. Okay, feel free, if you got weaknesses, throw them in as well. Okay, I'm not a one-trick pony. I'm not one of those people who just want to be pumped up. So Yogesh has said here that from his observation of my engagement through means of Facebook, through means of YouTube, through means of all the social media platforms where I add value to people, he sees that, you know, some of my values are knowledge, some of my assets, some of the things I add to other people are my knowledge, the fact that I'm clever or intelligent, the fact that I improve myself, the fact that I'm always growing, I know how to teach myself and others, and side by side with that, I'm motivational, motivating people, friendly, clear, and goal focused. Thank you ever so much, Yogesh. Really appreciate that. So guys, again, you know, if you are someone who's engaging with this content for the first time, let us know. Let us know if there are specific qualities that you have seen of myself or other people that you feel you want to share in order to move forward. But again, guys, that was really to do with Yogesh's question about how to build trust. And building trust is all about putting on display what you want the world to know about you, your qualities, your essential qualities, and the value that you bring to the table. All right, so Yogesh, thank you ever so much for doing that. And guys, anyone else who wants to do that, feel free to do that as well. You can throw that in the chat or in the comments. Happy to receive that. Both weaknesses and strengths, we are an open book. Now, side by side with everything we've shared, if you are getting value from this content, feel free to hit the like button. If you haven't hit the like button already, side by side with that, feel free to subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. Be a part of our community. Be a part of what we're doing, what we're building. We're answering people's questions. Yes, we do this absolutely for free. And there's one way that you can say thank you. And it's a real simple way, by just basically hitting like, by just basically pressing subscribe and becoming part of the community. Now, with all of this being said, I want to share with you guys a little bit of value, okay? And this is our ebook, the Sourcing Blueprint ebook, which basically we make available for those of you who want to be a part of our community and start to understand a little bit more about property sourcing. What is property sourcing? How do you source properties for yourself and for other investors? So you can go and get the free ebook, which is right here. And the link to go and do that is www.sourcingblueprint.com. Okay, I'm also interested in your comments as well, guys, your comments and your views. Based on that article that we read a moment ago, 30% price drop on properties for key workers and also for, other people, for first-time buyers. Let me know what you think about that. Do you think that's possible? Do you think the government can make that happen? Like, how would the government even go around and about making that happen? I'm very interested in hearing your comments on that, guys. So again, those of you who have an interest in that regard, feel free to let us know, and we'd be happy to see how we can work with you in regards to moving forward on that basis. So guys, I just want to encourage you on your property journey. I've seen a whole bunch of comments that are coming through right now. I'm going to have a look at those as well. I think these are probably comments people are making in regards to the statement I just made, which is really powerful. Okay, excellent. So Yogesh has said here, tax breaks like no stamp duty. Okay, look, I think that's absolutely powerful, like tax breaks. But one thing you got to bear in mind, Yogesh, and everyone who's watching this, if the government create more tax breaks, they can't reduce the price of a property that you're buying. And when you ask yourself the question, what taxes are involved, what payments which the government are connected to, which are involved when buying a property, besides stamp duty, there are very few taxes. So they could give the person tax breaks, but the question is, what would that look like to be able to be called a 30% price drop? Okay, is that going to be any person who's a key worker or a first-time buyer who buys a property, as long as they can prove how much they've bought the property for, they then get 30% of that returned to them in taxes? They then get 30% of that returned to them in terms of a check, like a inland revenue rebate. what would that actually look like? This is something I think is very, very interesting. And over the next few weeks, we're definitely going to be talking about this, because the government's going to be releasing more and more information as it pertains to this as well. Yogesh has also said, or maybe the pay percentage of costs. And yes, you're right. It might be pay percentages. It might be costs, because of the fact that the government do have a hand in those things. And, let's see what the government actually do. I'm actually very, very interested in seeing what the government are going to do in that regard, because I personally can't see the government doing something which actually makes much sense in that regard. And again, guys, look, I'm not the be all or end all. I don't profess to be a guru, so I don't know everything, and I don't think I know everything. So I will be interested in seeing what they do, and I'll also be interested in doing what I usually do, which is thinking about it from outside of the box, looking at where potentially it makes sense and where it doesn't make sense, and also sharing with people my views on it, whether it is going to be something productive for the community or non-productive, unproductive, as many things the government throw at us generally tend to be. Very productive for themselves and for people that are paying the highest rates of tax, etc., but not necessarily productive for those people who are investing, not necessarily always productive for the investor, the developer, etc. Now, Yogesh has put another comment in here, which I think is quite interesting. He's written a 0% loan for the 30%. Now, that is a great question you've put in there, Yogesh. My question is, well, if it's a 0% loan, the moment the word loan is associated, there's a problem, because at some point it needs to be paid back. So is it, again, really a price drop, or is it a ploy? Is it a duplicitous move to kind of confuse people? So again, these are things we're going to have to definitely be looking into. If I was offered a 0% loan on 30% of a property acquisition, I'd question whether I'd get into that, because I'd be very interested in seeing what are the interest rates going further, because it is a loan nonetheless. So obviously loans need to be paid back. Now, guys, let me know your comments. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the chat what your thoughts are. Like, how's the government going to provide a 30% price drop in the market for specific two groups of people, for key workers and also for first-time buyers? Okay, now I've got some ideas. I don't want to share them on this week's show. I think I'd probably share them next week when we get a bit more information from the government, just so I can kind of see whether I was right or wrong after the fact. But yeah, I do have a few ideas, and I think it's going to be kind of interesting to see what the government actually offer. So guys, if you're getting value from the show, let me know. Let me know in the chat if you're getting value. Write the word value. Looking forward to seeing what you guys have to say. And then side by side with that, again, feel free to press like so the YouTube world knows that this is good content. Now, guys, a question I've got for you as well is, have you shared this content? Okay, if you get value from the Impact Show, why don't you share it? Find someone who you think would get value from the show, and just share it with them. Just say to them, look, have you ever been on the Impact Show? Have you ever watched, an hour of Samuel strategizing with people who call in, answering questions about property? Because it's helping people move forward. If it's helping people move forward, Yogesh called in earlier on today, said thank you. Yes, shared it many times. Amazing. So Yogesh said he shared this many times. Guys, share the content. Don't be selfish. Don't be the kind of person who's going to take the value for yourself. There's other people who can get value from the show. Now, am I asking you to share it on a selfish note for myself? Yes. Okay. I'm being selfish by asking you to share the content. Now, where am I being selfish in this? The reason I'm being selfish is this. If we have more people watching this content, getting value from this content, potentially we'll have more callers with a more diverse range of property questions, and more people commenting with a more diverse range of property questions. So I'm selfish in the sense that I'm trying to help you even more, because the more people watching this, the more questions we have, the more challenging questions we might have, the more areas of property we can go into, the more value we can give to you guys, the better the show becomes and the more value we give to people. So guys, share the content, share it with developers, share it with investors, share it with people who are starting new, share it with people who have already got portfolios, share it with people who you think will get value. Okay, guys, because I'm here to give value, to add value to the community, and I'm looking forward to doing it. And I know that if we are as a community growing together, we can make that happen. And that's what I want to do, guys. I want to grow with you guys. I don't just want to grow alone. I want to grow with you guys, and that's what I do. And that's why I do what I do, how I do it. Now, we got Olive Chim, who's written in the comments a great comment, again, going back to the government for the key workers. And Olive's written here, government could do that by building more homes and subsidizing the rate for the two groups. Absolutely. The government could absolutely do that. I still wouldn't classify that as a price drop. But yes, the government could do that. The problem with the government doing that is I don't know if the government's actually got the money to do that, or whether the government will have to print money again in order to do that. And from my knowledge, the government's already been printing quite a bit of money this year. So I don't know if they should keep on doing that. But basically, Olive, what you've written there is a very, very pertinent comment. They could build more properties. But another thing to bear in mind is building properties takes time. Okay. The average development project is going to take 18 months, 24 months. So the reality is, if it's going to take 24 months to do that, again, is that really a 30% price drop, or is that really incentives being offered to the market? And again, these are just things to think through, things for us to talk about, things for us to discuss and see what the property market is actually going to have as this stuff holds up, or as this stuff doesn't hold up. So guys, these are things I'm interested in, and I'm still gonna be researching, seeing what the government put out, see the white papers that they're putting out, and see how they hope to create this price drop. Okay, because if you could drop the price of property anytime for any group, this is something that potentially would have been done again and again and again and again over the decades for politicians, and maybe for some other groups of people, in order for them to get value. How are you going to choose who's a key worker? Again, great question. Yogesh has just asked that in the comments. How are you going to choose who is a key worker? I think that is a fantastic question. So I'm just going to leave that out there as well. How are the government going to choose who's a key worker? Yogesh has also said that will be confusing and unclear. Yes, it would be confusing. It would be unclear. And side by side with it being confusing and unclear, it might also be unfair. So again, guys, this is stuff that we really have to look at, because these are the market changes that are taking place, guys. These are the market changes that are being publicized to the mainstream community of the world in the UK, but side by side of that, these are also things that potentially are going to take place and have an effect on your investing, have an effect on my investing, have an effect on the landscape of investment. And again, if we go back to what I said, guys, to the central tenet of what I said about property being a business and thus being part of a market, it's supply and demand. These statements, these proclamations that newspapers make have an effect on people's desire to buy, or people's desire to not buy, or to wait another 6 months. When Brexit was announced, what did most people do? Oh, I'm not buying right now. I'm not buying right now. I'm going to wait until the Brexit referendum is over. What happens when big news, media promote messages? A lot of the time, people step back, or people flood in the market. So what you have to understand is mainstream media do use their media power in a way to try to dictate supply and demand. And as property investors, we have to be wise enough to understand that we can't be tossed. The Bible uses this term. It says, do not be tossed to and fro with every wind of diverse doctrine. And what that just basically means is, don't just hear something new and just jump on it. Don't just hear another thing new and then jump on that. Be someone who's steadfast and firm, built on a solid foundation around the things you actually know and believe. And it's exactly the same in property. If you're a real investor, you're not just going to be, blown by every wind. You're going to be the person who says to themselves, no, you hold on a minute. I'm looking at my analysis of the market. I understand that there's supply coming from here. I understand that there's a big demand because of this. So as a result, I'm buying, or as a result, I'm not buying. Not just reading newspapers and making decisions based on a journalist who in some cases, or many cases, has never probably even bought a property in their life. So with that being said, guys, what I want to do is encourage you to go and grab this, which is the sourcing blueprint, which I've been talking about throughout tonight's session. And you can get that on the link www.sourcingblueprint.com. Side by side with that, if you haven't already, go and register to be a part of our upcoming webinar, which is taking place on Monday. The link is in the description in this video if you're watching this on the replay, and if you're watching it live, again, the link is in the description. But side by side with that, the link is also right there, www.impactproperties.co.uk/webinar. And on that webinar, it's a recorded webinar. We're going to be sharing with you guys how to take advantage in this current climate as it pertains to property investing. Guys, it's been a pleasure to do tonight's show. I'm your host, Samuel Ikenwin, and without further ado, love you guys. See you on the next one. Take care and God bless.